often find themselves feeling exhausted, unappreciated, and disconnected from their own needs. The truth is, when we constantly prioritize everyone else while neglecting our own well-being, we slowly run out of energy, patience, and joy. Imagine trying to water a garden with an empty watering can. You simply cannot give what you do not have. In the same way, if your emotional, mental, and physical reserves are depleted, your ability to care for others will be limited. This is why loving yourself first is so important. It replenishes your strength and renews your spirit so that the love you offer others is genuine and abundant rather than forced and resentful. Self-love begins with acknowledging your own value. It means recognizing that you are a complete human being with needs, dreams, and feelings that deserve respect. When you love yourself, you start to make choices that support your well-being, such as eating nourishing food, resting when you are tired, and spending time with people who uplift you instead of drain you. These small acts of care accumulate over time, building resilience and self-worth. You become less dependent on external validation because you learn to validate yourself. This shift changes everything, from the way you approach challenges to the way you interact with others. You are no longer operating from a place of scarcity where your self-esteem depends on other people's opinions. Instead, you are anchored in a deep sense of self-acceptance. Moreover, loving yourself first allows you to set healthy boundaries without guilt. When you know your worth, you understand that your time and energy are precious. You stop overcommitting just to please others and you start honoring your own capacity. Ironically, this makes you more present and effective in the moments you do choose to give because you are no longer running on fumes. People can sense the difference between love given freely and love given out of obligation. When your own needs are met, your love flows naturally without resentment or hidden frustration. Some may argue that putting yourself first feels wrong, especially in cultures or families that value sacrifice above self-care. But it is important to realize that you cannot truly help others if you are falling apart inside. Even in emergencies, the advice is always to put your own oxygen mask on first before helping someone else, because you can't save anyone if you can't breathe. Self-love works the same way. By taking care of your mind, body, and soul, you are ensuring that you have the strength and stability to be there for others in a meaningful way. Ultimately, loving yourself first lays the foundation for a healthier, happier, and more balanced life. It creates a cycle of well-being where you are continually replenishing your own energy so you can give more authentically to those around you. This is not selfishness. It is sustainability for the heart. When you learn to value yourself deeply, you not only improve your own life, but you inspire others to do the same, creating a ripple effect of healthier, stronger, and more loving human connections. Boundaries are one of the most powerful acts of self-love, yet they are often misunderstood or even seen as barriers to connection. In reality, boundaries do not push people away. They teach others how to treat you and create space for healthier, more respectful relationships. Setting boundaries means clearly communicating what you are comfortable with and what you are not, whether that relates to your time, your emotions, your personal space, or your energy. Without them, we can easily fall into the trap of overextending ourselves, saying yes to things we don't want to do, and feeling resentful or drained afterward. Over time, this leads to burnout, frustration, and even a loss of self-identity. Boundaries are not walls, they are doors with locks that you control, letting in what nourishes you and keeping out what harms you. The act of setting boundaries begins with self-awareness. You have to know your limits before you can communicate them. This involves paying attention to your feelings. Notice when you feel anxious, uncomfortable, or resentful. These emotions often signal that a boundary is being crossed. For example, if a friend constantly calls late at night and it disrupts your rest, you might set a boundary by letting them know you are unavailable after a certain time. If a colleague always shifts their workload onto you, you can respectfully decline and remind them of your own responsibilities. This is not about being rude or cold. It's about honoring your well-being so that you can function at your best. Protecting your peace through boundaries also requires courage because it's not always easy to say no, especially if you fear disappointing others or being judged. Many people struggle with the belief that refusing a request makes them selfish or uncaring. But the truth is, saying yes when you really mean no is dishonest, not only to others but to yourself. Over time, constantly ignoring your own needs to please others erodes your self-respect. By setting clear boundaries, you are sending yourself and the world a message. My well-being matters and I am worthy of respect. People who truly care about you will understand and adjust, while those who react negatively often benefit from your lack of boundaries. And that's worth reflecting on. Boundaries also act as a filter for relationships. They reveal which connections in your life are healthy and which are draining. When you communicate your needs and someone respects them, it strengthens the trust and mutual understanding between you. On the other hand, if someone continually disregards your boundaries, it's a sign that the relationship may not be serving your best interests. In this way, boundaries become a tool for self-protection and self-discovery. They help you identify the relationships, environments, and habits that truly align with your well-being. It's important to remember that boundaries are not fixed forever. They can evolve as you grow and your circumstances change. What was once tolerable might no longer be acceptable, and that's okay. As your self-love deepens, your boundaries may become stronger, clearer, and more non-negotiable. You may find yourself saying no more often, not out of bitterness, but because you have learned the value of your time and energy. And with every no to something that drains you, you are saying a bigger yes to the things that bring you joy, peace, and fulfillment. When you protect your peace through healthy boundaries, you are creating a life that supports your emotional and mental stability. You are making space for activities, relationships, and experiences that uplift you rather than deplete you. This does not make you less kind or less giving. It makes your kindness sustainable. Instead of giving from a place of exhaustion, you are giving from a place of wholeness. And that is the kind of giving that lasts, because it comes without resentment, without burnout, and without the silent hope that someone will finally give back what you have been pouring out. By embracing boundaries, you are not shutting people out. You are showing them where the door is and inviting them in on terms that respect you both. In doing so, you create an environment where love, respect, and trust can truly thrive. The way you speak to yourself shapes the way you see yourself and ultimately the way you show up in the world. Many people are unaware of how powerful their internal dialogue is. We often speak to ourselves in ways we would never speak to someone we care about, harsh, critical, unforgiving. This constant stream of negative self-talk can chip away at our confidence and make us feel undeserving of success, love, or happiness. On the other hand, practicing positive and compassionate self-talk can strengthen your self-esteem, encourage resilience, and help you approach challenges with a more balanced mindset. Your inner voice becomes the soundtrack of your life, and the more encouraging and kind it is, the more confident and empowered you will feel. Negative self-talk often comes from old experiences, failures, or the critical voices we've internalized from other people, family members, teachers, peers, or even society at large. Over time, these voices can become so ingrained that we mistake them for truth. For example, if you tell yourself, "I'm not good enough," "I always mess things up," or "I'm not smart enough," your mind begins to look for evidence to prove these statements right. This confirmation bias reinforces the negative beliefs, trapping you in a cycle of low self-worth. To break free, you must become aware of these thoughts and question their validity. Ask yourself, is this thought based on fact or fear? Would I say this to a friend? What would happen if I chose to believe something kinder? Changing your self-talk takes intentional practice. Start by catching yourself in moments of self-criticism and replacing the harsh thought with a more supportive one. Instead of "I can't do this," try "I can learn how to do this, even if it takes time." Instead of "I failed, so I'm a failure," reframe it as "I didn't succeed this time, but I can grow from this experience." This doesn't mean you ignore your mistakes or pretend everything is perfect. It means you choose to speak to yourself with patience, empathy, and encouragement. Just as a plant grows better with sunlight and water than with neglect, your confidence grows stronger when it is nurtured with kind words and supportive beliefs. Self-talk is also linked to how you handle setbacks. When your inner dialogue is filled with encouragement, you are more likely to see obstacles as challenges to overcome rather than evidence that you're not capable. For instance, if you face rejection, a negative inner voice might say, "See, I knew I wasn't good enough." But a positive, compassionate inner voice might say, "This is disappointing, but it doesn't define my worth. I'll try again, maybe in a different way." The second response keeps you moving forward, while the first one makes you stop before you even begin. This difference can determine whether you pursue your goals or abandon them. It's important to remember that your self-talk also influences how others perceive you. If you constantly put yourself down, apologize unnecessarily, or minimize your achievements, people may start to treat you as if you are less capable than you really are. But when you speak confidently about yourself and acknowledge your strengths without arrogance, you teach others to see you through the same lens. Confidence is contagious, not because you are pretending to be perfect, but because you are showing up as someone who respects themselves and believes they have something valuable to offer. Your inner voice should be your greatest ally, not your harshest enemy. Just as you would defend and uplift someone you care about, you must learn to defend and uplift yourself. Over time, as you replace criticism with compassion, you will notice changes not only in how you feel, but in the opportunities you attract. People are drawn to those who radiate self-assurance and inner peace, and that begins with the way you talk to yourself in private moments. Shaping yourself, talk into something positive and empowering, is not about ignoring reality or pretending life is easy. It's about choosing a perspective that helps you grow rather than one that keeps you small. When you make a habit of speaking to yourself with kindness, you create a foundation for lasting confidence, resilience, and emotional strength. Your mind becomes a place of encouragement rather than judgment, and that shift changes everything: the risks you take, the relationships you build, and the dreams you dare to chase. Ultimately, your inner voice will either be the chains that hold you back or the wings that help you rise, and the choice of which one it becomes lies in your hands. When you truly love yourself, every part of your life begins to transform because self-love serves as the foundation for everything else: your relationships, your career, your health, and your overall happiness. Loving yourself changes the standards you set for how you are treated, the choices you make, and the way you respond to life's challenges. When you see your own worth, you naturally begin to align your actions with it. This alignment influences your decisions in subtle yet powerful ways. You choose relationships that are respectful and supportive rather than toxic. You take care of your body because you value your well-being, and you pursue opportunities that challenge and excite you rather than settling for less than you deserve. Self-love acts like a filter. When you understand and respect your worth, you naturally filter out people, situations, and habits that are harmful or draining. For example, someone who loves themselves is far less likely to stay in a relationship where they are disrespected or undervalued. Instead of clinging to something that hurts, they recognize that letting go opens the door for healthier connections. This doesn't mean you'll never face difficulties or pain. It means you will approach them from a place of strength and clarity, making choices that protect and honor your well-being. Loving yourself also changes the way you handle failure and setbacks. Without self-love, failure can feel like a confirmation of your worst fears, that you are not good enough or that you don't deserve success. But with self-love, failure becomes a lesson, a stepping stone toward growth. You are able to say, "This didn't work out, but it doesn't define my worth," and move forward with resilience. This mindset not only helps you recover from challenges faster, but also encourages you to take more risks, because you are no longer paralyzed by the fear of being not enough. Another powerful effect of loving yourself first is how it influences your relationships. When you respect yourself, you set a precedent for how others should treat you. You are less likely to tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or neglect, and more likely to seek out relationships that are built on mutual care, trust, and support. People are drawn to those who are confident and self-assured, not because they are arrogant, but because self-love radiates as calm, grounded energy. It's attractive in the truest sense because it inspires trust and admiration. Self-love also improves your physical and mental health. When you value yourself, you make choices that support your body and mind. You eat foods that nourish you, you rest when you need it, and you prioritize activities that bring you joy and peace. You stop overcommitting to things that drain you, and you make time for hobbies, movement, and rest without guilt. This balance improves not only your health, but also your productivity, because you are functioning from a place of renewal rather than exhaustion. Moreover, loving yourself has a ripple effect on the people around you. When you model self-respect and self-care, you unconsciously give others permission to do the same. Friends, family, and even colleagues may feel inspired to set their own boundaries, pursue their own dreams, or treat themselves more kindly because they see you doing it without apology. This creates a healthier and more positive environment where people are uplifted instead of depleted. Perhaps one of the most beautiful things about loving yourself first is that it allows you to love others more deeply. When you are secure in yourself, you don't seek constant validation from others, and you don't love from a place of neediness or fear of abandonment. Instead, you can give love freely without expecting it to fill a void because you are already whole. This kind of love is richer, more stable, and more enduring. It strengthens relationships rather than straining them. In the end, loving yourself first is not just about feeling good. It's about building a solid foundation for every aspect of your life. It affects the way you see the world, the way you show up in it, and the way you connect with others. It shapes your choices, strengthens your resilience, and creates an inner peace that external circumstances cannot easily shake. When you truly embrace self-love, you are no longer waiting for life to prove your worth. You are living each day already knowing you have it. And from that place, everything else, success, love, joy, flows more naturally because it is built on the unshakable truth that you deserve it.